Good day, mates. Okay, Tommy the Tumor, part 7 and 9. Yeah, apparently yesterday when I posted 8, I didn't post 7. So, I'm going to give you a little 7 and a big 9. Are you ready? Okay, here goes 7. 7 is about the family. Okay, as I'm going through this, I see the sacrifice my family is making. I know that my daughter and my husband, we had steak night every Saturday because that's Rodney's best thing to cook. And so he always cooked supper. I couldn't sit to eat much of it, but it was still really tasty what he cooked. Chelsea did a lot of my errand running, and we actually got really good at, I would send her to a store. I would have her FaceTime me and I'd go, okay, I need a blue flower pot. Okay, show me all the blue ones. And she would FaceTime me and I'd go, oh, that one, we'll take that one. And then she would buy it. I was actually really functional, even though I was unable to move from the couch. And I thought, look at us being so efficient here, despite the fact that the matriarch is completely debilitated. Well, we get through all of this, and occasionally they would say things like, oh, Mom, I think something's not right here. We've got to do something different. Or they would tip their hand a little bit, but most of the time they were just great support. And they're like, you get them, girl, you've got this. And they were just very supportive. Well, now here it is almost a year. And as I'm documenting it, it's amazing how when I tell a story, I'll see my family go, oh my God, that stresses me out so much. Or like I'll wear a certain outfit and they're like, you've got to change clothes. We can't even see you in that. And I'm like, what? And they're like, it just brings back so much memories of last year. And when I posted about the KU doctor kicking me out, my husband goes, God, that was the worst day of my life. He goes, by far, because he said, I knew we had worked so hard to get you there. And I knew she was your worst nightmare. And he said, I just thought, oh my God, I don't know that I'll ever get her back to the doctor. He didn't tell me that. I was unaware that caused him so much stress. And it made me realize when someone is going through a trial like I did, it's, people are praying for me. They would call me and say, hey, we love you. Is there anything we can do for you? Can we bring you food or whatever? But the family is also going through the same battle. And so I wanted to say, if you have someone who's going through something crazy like I did or something long-term, don't forget their caretaker and don't forget their team. Pray for them. Go and ask them, hey, why don't you go to, get a pedicure and I'll sit here and watch the person breathe like a guppy for a while. And so it's amazing to me how honest my family is on this side of it and how they took those emotions when I was going through it and they would go aside, they would discuss it, encourage each other, and then come back and it's like, girl, you got this, you're all right. And they just sent me good vibes and encouragement and lots of words that strengthened me when I never realized that they were feeling just as much fear and anxiety and uncertainty and devastation that I was. And so that's number 7. Don't forget about the family. Okay, number 9. All right. This one I've been waiting so long to tell. This is one of my favorite parts of my story. Okay. There is this lady on Facebook, and her and I have crossed paths in church circles, a couple times, but whenever we see each other, we're like kindred spirits. And we would always say we're sisters by other mothers. And we didn't know each other well, but we are Facebook friends. And I saw she always posted things of faith and encouragement and stuff. And so I'm sitting there one day and I'm like, I just need a Christian to just say, girl, you've got this. I just needed somebody to give me a hope, somebody to just, I felt like I was empty, and which is funny because I was full, but spiritually I felt empty, but bloated wise I felt full. And I was like, okay, I just need somebody to just say, here that's, just a good word. And so I'm like, I'm going to send Lori a message. That's her name. Okay. Her last name's Oric, and her husband have a church. She's a pastor's wife. Okay. So I text her and I'm like, hey, or I private message her. And I said, hey, this is kind of strange, but I've been going through a weird situation and, surgery is now scheduled and we don't want anybody to know because I didn't want everyone going, oh, dear God, she's going to die. Oh, I always loved her. No, you didn't. And So we just kind of kept it on the down low. And I said, but I would like to let you know, could you be praying for me? The report is looking a little suspicious and not real pleasant, but we're believing the word of the Lord and that I will live and not die. And, just let me know. She sends me back, oh my gosh, yes, we'll be praying for you. As a matter of fact, do you want us to come to your house and we'll pray for you? And I'm like, no, you know what? I can't hardly stand and I can barely walk, but I want to come to your church. Now, mind you, I'm part of a church. And so, this is a whole different thing. This was one of those divine moments, a divine encounter. It was just trust me. Okay. And I said, I know enough about there's a time and a place for a miracle to happen. And I'm going to put myself in that place. And she goes, well, look, if you want to come to our church, we'll come outside. We'll pray with you in your car. If you feel so, unable to deal with a lot of people, you can go to my husband's office. And as soon as he gets done with church, he'll meet you in the office. And first of all, I'm so touched because I'm thinking, seriously, these folks are making such sacrifices for me. They would have, if I would have said, meet me under a bridge overpass and, walk across broken glass, I think they would have done it. Okay. So I says, here's what we'll do. I don't think I can sit through a church service. So I'll watch you online. When you get close to being at the end of service, I'll have Rodney drive me to your church and I'll sneak in the back. And she's like, okay, we will have someone waiting for you at the door. We'll get you a special chair. If you need to sit on the couch, whatever you need to do, we'll get it done. And I'm like, there needs to be more people in the world like that. They were willing to do whatever needed to be done to pray for me. Oh, just thinking about it still. I love you, Craig and Lori, just so you know. But anyway, moving on. So it's getting to be the end of service. Rodney and I are sitting in the car. We pulled up and I says, okay, they're starting to come to the end. So we sneak in. A beautiful lady meets me at the door. She said, you're Stacy. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, come on. We've got a spot saved for you in the back. Do you need anything? I mean, seriously, you guys, great love, great love. They sit us in the back and Rodney and I are standing there and Rodney goes, do you need to sit down? And I'm like, no, I think I'm okay. So we're standing there and they're starting to sing. And I'm like, whoo, man, I am just like shaking all over. And Rodney goes, well, do you need to sit down? I go, no, it doesn't feel like that kind of shaking. I don't know what kind of shaking it is, but it's not that kind of shaking. And he's like, all right. So I'm standing there and I'm feeling really strong, and which is rare because I haven't been able to even stand for very long up until then. So the service ends and Lori comes back to me and Rodney and she says, okay, why don't you guys come up or she says, hold on, Craig's going to come back here and pray with you guys. And I said, I know that there's a miracle waiting for me at the altar. I don't know why. I just knew it. I knew there was something about the physical act of me getting to that place just to prove to we were going to go and we were going to get us a miracle. I wasn't going to just sit around and hope one came. I was going to get me a miracle. I think of the woman in the Bible with the issue of blood, and it said she pressed through the crowd. She had spent all she had for the doctors and nothing was happening. And she pressed through the crowd and she said, if I could only touch the hem of his garment. Not being hyper spiritual, but that was my pressing through the crowd moment. Okay, so I said, let's go. So I take Rodney by the arm and Lori goes, well, I'll just meet you up there. And Craig was praying for some people and we get up to the altar and the music is still playing and everyone's leaving. And Lori comes up. Now it's Rodney, me, and then Lori. And we're standing there. She goes, do you need to sit down? I go, no, I'm okay. And she goes, well, here's a chair if you need to. She goes, if you need to lay down, whatever you need to do, we've got you. And I said, okay. And so she says, okay, Craig's got a couple of people he's praying for in the back. As soon as he gets done, he's going to come up and pray for you. I said, okay. Okay, now, I've got to tell you this. All this process, I kept saying, God, I do not know if I have enough faith for a miracle, but I know you have enough mercy for me. And I just kept praying, mercy. God, have mercy on me. God, I need your mercy right now. I need you to give me an answer to prayer, not because I'm good, but because you're good. I need you to just, out of your great mercy, just touch me. And I would sit out on my deck at night. Everybody would be in bed, and because I could only sleep in 20 to 30 minute segments. And then I would be in so much pain, I would have to move. I'd start in bed, couldn't even lay. Now, at this point, literally, when I would roll over at night, if I would lay on my side, I would have to pick up my belly and roll it with me. Not exaggerating. And so I would move from the bed. Then I would sometimes come in here in my office, and I would have to sleep at a 45-degree angle, because if I would lay down, I couldn't breathe. It was just like it would just suffocate me. And so I would go from the couch, and then I would sit in a chair for a while, and I would doze off, and then I'm like, oh God, can't feel, got to move over. And sometimes in the night I would wake up and I would go sit out on my deck and just in the stars, and I just kept praying the same thing, and tears would be streaming, and I'm like, God, mercy, have mercy on me, and please just heal my body. Okay, so now fast forward, I'm standing at the altar, and Craig comes up, and before Craig comes up, Lori is standing beside me, and just out of love, she reaches behind me and puts her hand on my back. Just a sweet, little touch. Now Rodney's about a foot away from me. As soon as Lori touched me, you cannot argue this is my experience. If you haven't had this experience, no big deal. If you don't agree with it, I don't care. It was my experience, so here's my experience. That's all I can guarantee. Immediately, that shaking that I was feeling in the back, it started happening again. Now, here's when I say shaking, I'm saying like, in the winter when your teeth are chattering because you're just so cold, you're just like, okay. It was like that, but faster. I've tried to recreate it, but it was so fast, I couldn't do it. Now I'm shaking all over. I'm just vibrating. My teeth are chattering. And my first thought is, I want Rodney to feel this. I don't know what's happening, but I want Rodney to feel this. So I reach over and I grab Rodney's hand, and he's thinking, oh, she just needs me to stand a little closer so she doesn't fall over. So he scoots a little bit closer. Excuse me. So we're standing there holding hands. Lori's hand is still on my back, and I'm just vibrating at this point. To the point that I'm starting to sway, because I'm thinking my legs are just shaking so much, I'm afraid I'm going to fall. And I'm shaking, and I got this thought of, those things that you wind up and their little feet just are going. I thought, I'm just going to hop right up to the front of this altar here because I'm just vibrating so much. And I'm just praying and praying, and it's just like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I surrender to it. Okay. Here comes Craig. He comes around. He's just praying. Rodney's standing beside me now. And Craig goes, I'm not usually a guy that gives a word, but he said, as I was walking up here, God wants you to know he's a God of mercy. What? That's my word. Immediately, tears are a-flowing. God met me at the altar. That's what I knew. That word was, no matter what happened from that point on, I knew God had this thing. So Craig reaches forward to pray for me, and I believe the Bible says that laying hands on the sick and they'll recover. He started laying hands on me. Oh, ignore the cuckoo clock. So he's praying for me, and he just kept saying, God, just burn this thing out of her. Whatever it is, just burn it out of her. Okay. I'm not a schwitzy girl. I'm not a sweaty. I'm not usually a drippy sweat girl. Occasionally I'll mist and I'm dewy, Okay. As soon as he lays hands on me, I start sweating like like somebody had turned on water. It's rolling down my hair, rolling behind. I literally could feel it rolling behind my ears. And at the time I was so bony, it was filling up in my neck. I don't have them anymore. Filled those suckers right in. I have these little indentations. Yeah, not anymore. And they were filling up. And so I had to wear a dress because I couldn't get anything to fit me. And I could feel it running down my back. And my underwear strap was catching, or, the waistband. And I'm thinking, ooh. And I'm just like, he's still praying. I'm still holding on to Rodney, and I'm trying to wipe because it's running in my eyes. Well, Lori thinks I'm crying, which I am, but she hands me a tissue. So now I'm trying to blot, and I'm blotting, and he's still praying for me. Burn it out, God, just burn it out. And I am I'm dripping sweat. Okay. I really expected to immediately my stomach to just go. It didn't. But I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew something miraculous just happened. God has this thing. 2 days later, I was going to be wheeled into surgery. And so at that point, God had this thing. Funny part, and then I'll let you go. Walk out to the car. Now here's me. There's still people praying. Service had let out, but there were still some people praying. And you know, I'm looking around, I'm seeing some people I know, and I'm like, love you. Thank you for praying. Love you, sending your love. Great, good seeing you. Now, mind you, I'm gray, I'm ashen. I've got this giant belly, my skin's all hanging. That was the least of my worries. I get out to the car, I sit down next to Rodney, shut the door, and I pulled down the visor. Literally, my bangs were wet. They were stuck to my head. I looked like Alice Cooper, mascara everywhere. I had completely sweated off all my makeup. I'm thinking as I'm walking out, people are like, hey, you doing okay? Oh, it was awful. I looked awful. But I looked over at Rodney and I said, wow, was that crazy? And he's just looking straight ahead. And I said, when I took your hand, did you feel that? He goes, yeah. I said, seriously, I was vibrating like a typewriter. I said, did you feel all that? He goes, I really did. And I said, did you feel the heat? And he goes, what heat? I go, well, he was saying, burn it out. Did you feel the heat? And he said, I didn't feel any heat. That was even more proof to me that I just had a supernatural encounter, because here's why. I was holding his hand and he could feel God's presence. He didn't have anything to be burned out. Why would he need heat? I was the one needing the heat. That way, nobody could say, well, you know, you were up there under the lights and you were up by this stage. Of course you were hot. No, it was supernatural. Is that the coolest story? Okay, gotta go. Don't know if I'll be posting tomorrow because, you know, it's church day. So go find you a good church. All right, love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. There's more to be told.